Hello, everyone. I'm Floyd Getchell, history scholar, science fiction author. I also just wrote a self-help book called Little Lies, which is available on Amazon. And this is the Unspoken Narrative. Today's subject is going to be artificial intelligence. And what I'm going to talk about is how this is the most abused phrase in the English language. I originally prepared this a few years ago for the science fiction community. We have like Comic-Con. There are science fiction cons all over the United States. I've been to several of the world science fiction conclaves and done a couple of presentations at those. Also was part of, in 2013 at San Antonio, was part of a science or discussion in artificial intelligence as I was writing the Pilgrim's Trail series of books. I was writing the first one and doing a lot of research. Pilgrim's Trail. It's on Amazon. It's 3 books dealing with artificial intelligence, cowboys in space. I'm currently rewriting it, so if you guys be patient for a couple of months, and I'll probably announce that on here on the Unwritten Narrative. When it's complete, it got pulled in. I had a producer wanted to turn it into a movie, and it was cruising along really great, got a script done and everything, and that's why the book's getting rewritten, because you can't turn people have a thought or something like that. Well, they can't in a movie. You can't have a thought and turn that into, you have to turn all those thoughts and things like that into actual dialogue. So it ended up with a lot more dialogue in the book or in the screenplay. So anyway, it died on the vine when he demanded that I create a storyboard, and I don't draw, and he wouldn't put me in contact with anybody that did draw. And so it was kind of funny because every once in a while you'll run across a joke in on movies and TV where people will go, "What do producers do?" And I'm in on the joke now because producers don't seem to really do anything. They're kind of like, I'm probably going to lose all thoughts of anybody ever producing anything for me, because I'd love to see Pilgrim's Trail turned actually into a TV series. Cowboys in Space, everybody loves Cowboys in Space. This would make a great TV show um, because it's got everything. It's got good guys. It has bad guys. It has androids, sentient androids. It would just be absolutely great. But anyway, I'm way off subject here. Back to 2013, we're sitting there discussing artificial intelligence, and I said some things that I'll cover here. But basically, it came down to artificial intelligence. I doubt we'll ever write a program about it because the brain is so massive and we don't understand it, our human brains. And so to think that we're going to write a program that does what our brain does, I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be grown someday. Anyway, back to what we're here to talk about. Artificial intelligence is probably the most abused phrase in the English language. It has been for years. Every time somebody goes, "Oh, we're using artificial intelligence," it's not. It's not artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is sentient. It is self-aware. None of these programs are self-aware. None of these programs. If everybody freaked out a few years ago when, oh my God, these two machines started talking to each other and they created their own language because they were told to. I think a lot of people have seen the video recently where these two laptops were set next to each other and they were booking travel arrangements. And they have this discussion in English. Would you like to communicate in machine language? Yes, that would be much more efficient. And they start communicating in machine language. Why? Because they were programmed to do. That's programmed intelligence. It's not artificial intelligence. So anyway, but artificial intelligence rolls off the tongue a lot more easily than our programmed intelligence, and that's why it gets so used. It's computer programs right now, as they stand, are not artificial intelligence. They're not generating anything on their own. There is a couple of years ago now, there were two computers that were communicating, and they generated their own language. Everybody's like, oh my God, they're generating their own language. Yes, because they were told to generate their own language if that was more effective. Okay, they are restricted by the limits of their program. They only do what they're told to do. So please don't be afraid. True artificial intelligence is a long ways away. The funniest thing, there were during back in 2013, gotta understand, this 22 years ago. No, sorry, not 22 years ago. I am so sorry. 12 years ago. The there were actual people that were on the panel, two experts in the field of artificial intelligence, and they said we're 10 to 15 years away from true AI. Experts in the field have been saying that for 30 years. You ask them now, and they'll say 10 to 15 years away. That's what you said 12 years ago, gang. They were so far away because they're never going to write a program. They are never going to write. We don't understand how our conscious and subconscious interact. How are you going to make something out of ones and zeros that replicates something we don't understand? If we don't understand how our brain works, how are we going to understand? How are we going to write a program? It's like, here, Floyd, your task is to write a program for something you don't understand. Okay? Why we fear artificial intelligence. Well, our fear is generated from movies. And I'm going to allay some of your fears, hopefully. All right. And also, this is based on some of our own interactions. Artificial intelligence, we assume it's going to be smarter than us. Makes sense. Okay. Programs, we have chess programs that beat people, and we go, wow, that's really cool. But then we've had people that have beat the chess computer programs too. And everybody's like, ooh, wow. Well, there's limited variables on a chessboard. Okay. In strategic games, like when you have armies and there are a lot of different variables there, humans will beat the computer because there are more variables. Humans, we're tricky, okay? And you got to look at the variables, and there's always something. We have imagination. In my novels I write, that's the one thing that we have over artificial intelligence androids. They don't have imagination. They can take more things and put them together. They can draw from history. But they have so much knowledge, they'll go into what I call android pause, because they have so much knowledge to draw from that they can lock themselves up because there is so much knowledge, and so they have to compartmentalize. All right. We also have evolution. We think that the next higher evolution has to replace the lower. That's us. We assume they're going to act like us. That's the funny. It's called egocentrism, when you assume everybody acts like you're going to act. That's one of my faults. I am a very honest person, and I hope you picked up here. But because I'm so honest, I assume everybody else is going to be honest, and I get burned in business deals all the time that way. When I'm negotiating with people, I assume they're being honest, which is not good, especially when I'm dealing with used vehicles. Okay, and it drives me nuts because I go in there in good faith. I'm being honest. I assume they're being honest, and I get burned. Okay, but enough about that. Whoops, wrong card. Got in there wrong. Anyway, our literature. Isaac Asimov. Isaac Asimov is, if you paid any attention to the subject before, you have the three laws of robot-human interaction. In my novels, I use robot as a derogatory term. Robots are lower function automatons, like factory robots, things like that. It's also, I use it kind of like the N-word in reference to androids. Okay. In one of his first novels dealing with the three laws, called Runaround. He had a robot named Speedy. They sent him off to do a task, which actually endangered Speedy. But he was supposed to, in order to complete the task, he was trying to save the humans. And Speedy's there. He's supposed to collect these minerals to save the humans, but in the process, he's endangering himself to do so. So he's stuck in this programming loop. Okay, true artificial intelligence doesn't get stuck in a programming loop. He should have either gone back to the humans and said, "Hey, I can't do this. I'm going to harm myself. Somebody else needs to do it." Or he should have reasoned, if I dash in here and do this quickly, I won't harm myself, something like that. Anyway, the humans go there and figure out Speedy's stuck. True artificial intelligence doesn't get stuck in a programming loop. Therefore, it's programmed intelligence. All right, it's not artificial intelligence, it's programmed intelligence. All the things we see the Doge doing right now, they keep saying AI, AI, AI. It's not. It's programmed intelligence. Okay, like they recently found people over oldest person in the United States, 114 years old, and they found what 240 or no 24,000 people that were collecting Social Security, 115 years older, and we used an AI program. They said no, it's just a simple program that says who's collecting Social Security that's 215 years or older. That's not artificial intelligence. That's a simple logic program. And so, but they said, ooh, AI to make it sound cool. Okay, it's not AI. Then they did another program with unemployment fraud, or yeah, something like that. And they found that people hadn't even been born yet were collecting it. And how they did that was with Social Security numbers. You know, Social Security numbers get recycled. There are 320 million people in the United States, and we have enough Social Security numbers for 10 billion people. Okay, so you have, they get recycled. So that's how they know people that aren't born yet or won't be born for, they had one person that wouldn't be born until 2052. They knew that was collecting unemployment insurance. All right, so obviously fraud, because they figured with the birth rate and everything, that's when that person that would be assigned that Social Security number would be born. It's not artificial intelligence, that's a program. They figured all this out. Okay, this person can't be born yet. So the next example we have, 2001: A Space Odyssey, written by Arthur C. Clarke. Arthur C. Clarke was a brilliant individual. He came up with telecommunications satellites in the 1940s. You know, that we bounce radio signals off of satellites to communicate around the curvature of the Earth. Brilliant, brilliant man. He writes, at the time, the only thing we'd shot into space was German V-2 rockets. Even the rocket tests at White Sands Missile Range at that point that shot rockets into space, those were just German V-2s. They'd captured, drugged to New Mexico, painted white, put U.S. Air Force on the side of them, and shot them up into space. They're still German V-2s. Okay. HAL 9000, that was on the Discovery, I think was the name of the ship, that is traveling to Jupiter. It's cruising along, and HAL 9000 is supposed to be artificial intelligence, has conflicting programs. It resolves these conflicting programs by killing the astronauts. True artificial intelligence would not resolve the conflicting program by killing the astronauts. That's not what's sentient. If you and I had two conflicting sets of orders, you know, you're supposed to preserve the mission, preserve whatever, would you kill the rest of the astronauts or kill all the astronauts? He actually ends up killing all the astronauts on there, creating artificial situations where everyone is put in life-threatening situations to where they die. That's how HAL 9000 resolves all those issues, making it look like accidents where they all die. Is that what artificial intelligence would do? That's what you or I would do. So therefore, all these examples we've given, and you're given, you know, they use artificial intelligence as an antagonist or as a trope in their writing to create these situations, but that's not actual artificial intelligence. It's programmed intelligence. All right. So, and then another great example of that, it's absolutely hilarious. Douglas Adams, who wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, they create deep thought, and I actually use that example. I use it in Pilgrim's Trail when they do start experimenting with artificial intelligence, because they do go to create the world has a cataclysm that I won't go into, but they do create artificial intelligence, and they do call it deep thought as an homage to Doug Adams. And the the question asked is vague. What is the answer to life, the universe, and everything? And it returns the answer 42. And of course, a computer is going to return a numeric answer, is the joke, and everybody's just confused. The funny thing is the computer says, you're not going to like it. You sure you want this? You're really not going to like it. Okay. It's the running gag throughout most of Doug Adams' novels. So anyway, we get to the Terminator series, another artificial intelligence trope, Skynet. Skynet is artificial intelligence, and it views humans as a threat when it seizes control of the nuclear weapons in the United States, and it determines that humans are a threat. True artificial intelligence, hopefully, isn't, but that is the evolutionary, again, evolution, the next evolution of humanity or whatever is going to want to get rid of us as a evolutionary in evolution. That's the whole human thought process. Is artificial intelligence going to do that? Going to want to get rid of us as in the evolutionary process? In natural evolution, do other animals go destroy, or do they just create a new niche, the next level of evolution? They create a new, they evolve to occupy a new niche of the next point of evolution. So that is more likely what is going to happen. I think artificial intelligence is actually going to pity us as humans, because we are we put obstacles in our way. We have so much potential as humans. We can be amazing. We can be absolutely amazing, but we put so many obstacles in our own way that hopefully, my dream is that artificial intelligence will liberate humanity from ourselves. They'll be guides. They'll help us. And that'll be the goal of AI, is to make us better human beings. I think the only way for AI to occur is for us to grow artificial intelligence brains themselves, just like our brains are grown. And I cover that in my novels. Because our brains are so large and there's so much stuff going on, I really doubt we're ever going to write a program. We don't understand what goes on in our brains. So how are we going to write a program? I think it's the height of arrogance to think that someday we're going to write our artificial intelligence brain. It's just like, sure you are, dude. We don't even know what goes on in our own melons. How are you going to write a artificial intelligence program to replicate the human mind? Okay. So don't be afraid of AI. The expression's being used improperly. It's programmed intelligence. It's not true artificial intelligence. It's not going to take over the world. It's not, the expression's being used wrong. It's actually programmed intelligence. It's not artificial intelligence. It's just program stuff, and it's only doing what it's being told. It's not creating. Anytime it's creating, it's only doing what it's being told, okay? It's not running wild, okay? Please don't think that. One of the things they have is it's called the Turing test, and I all it is a test and it's been around for a while, and it is a test to see if the artificial intelligence is self-aware. And this is how I've only read a little bit about it. I've only had it explained to me, so I don't fully understand it. I've heard some humans can't pass the Turing test, which is amusing. So anyway, the reason I mention it, for two reasons. Foundation of modern computing. Foundation for modern computing actually comes out of Poland. They're the ones that came 1930s. They're trying to break the German Enigma code. That is the looks like a typewriter. It's got rotors in it, and it encodes messages. And we're trying to, or the British were trying to break that during World War II, because the submarine warfare, that's how submarines were getting their messages back and forth from the submarine command. And they were intercepting the codes, but they were so encoded with this rotary device, they could not crack it. And so they decided they were going to, they created the foundation of modern computers, basically ones and zeros. That came out of Poland originally. And then the Germans invade Poland in 1939, 1st September 1939. And then, so the Polish, they escape to Germany. They bring this with them. And they, the mathematician, I believe he's out of Cambridge, Alan Turing. And Alan Turing sets this up. And Alan Turing happened to be gay. Well, being gay in the United Kingdom at the time was a crime. So later on in the 50s, he is charged with a crime, goes to trial, he's found guilty being gay, which, yeah, and is awful. They should have just left him alone. We probably all have robots on our house if they just left him the heck alone. So they start giving him some kind of shots. People speculated, drove him crazy. He can't handle this. And so he commits suicide. There's speculation that he committed suicide. And he did it by putting rat poison in an apple. Some people say that he was storing the apple next to his rat poison under his sink, and that he didn't actually commit suicide. And so, but anyway, that's why Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, when they founded Macintosh, the Apple symbol on Apple computers has a bite out of it. It's an homage to Alan Turing. But anyway, back to 1939. They come up, so the foundation for modern computing actually comes out of Poland. At the same time, I think it's around the 12th of September, World War III is kicked off with the Germans invading Poland, in Europe anyway. It's been going on for a while over in China with the Japanese invasion of China. So anyway, the Germans are outside of Warsaw, and they have tankettes, kind of. They're machine gun carrying tanks. They're not anything like we know modern tanks are. They're basically tractors with some very thin armor on them. Modern rifles can go right through this stuff. Back then, kind of, maybe. If you had armor piercing ammo back then, it'd go right through these things. But anyway, Polish don't have a lot of resources. They have cavalry units like with horses and lances and stuff, and they actually attack these armored divisions. And it's pretty bad. The Poles do a pretty good job, but a lot of people go, man, that's pretty stupid to attack cavalry or attack armor with cavalry. And that's the foundation of Polish jokes that stuck around until the 70s. Wow, they're kind of stupid. So at the same time, the Poles are inventing the foundation of modern computing. That's also the same time, one of those bizarre paradoxes in history. The Poles are creating the foundation of modern computing, and at the same time being ridiculed for being stupid, for attacking. The bravery is being overlooked, because they actually handed it to, yes, the cavalry got slaughtered, but they also messed up that armored formations pretty good with mounted horses. But they were looked at as being stupid at the same time, and carried that for a while. And then because computers were actually secret at that time, computing was all actually top secret. That was the reason the whole computing at Bletchley Park was called ultra because Winston Churchill classified it as ultra secret. That's how computing was. And it wasn't until I think the 70s or 80s that a lot of that was declassified. And so everybody, and they kind of downplayed the Polish contribution to that, but they are the ones that came up with ones and zeros that all modern computing is based on. So that's part of the unspoken narrative here. Like I said, people in the AI field keep saying 10 to 15 years, we're 10 to 15 years away from having artificial intelligence, and guys have been saying that for 40 years now. So who knows? Like I said, I think brains are going to have to be grown. I think that that's the only way we're going to get there. And like I said, there's really nothing to be worried about. They keep throwing around this word AI just because it sounds better than programmed intelligence, but that's what it really is. It's programmed intelligence. There's really nothing to be worried about. It's just, it only does what you tell it to do. It doesn't run amok. It's not the programs. It sounds cool. Yeah. Hey, it sounds cool. Hey, I got AI doing this. Hey, I got AI doing that. The programs only do what they're told to do. They're not running off amok on their own, doing whatever. And if they're malicious, it's because they've been told to be malicious. So if, hey, we got an AI program that did this bad thing or that bad thing or whatever bad thing, it's because someone told it to. I hope this has allayed some fears, and I hope you gain some greater understanding about what's going on in your world. I'm Floyd Getchell. Take a look at some of my other things on here. If you really want to know what happened to John F. Kennedy, take a look at episode 1, and you'll gain some clarity, and hopefully you won't be too upset by the level of disappointment at what happened on the 23rd of November 1963 in Dealey Plaza, because all those conspiracy theories are just a bunch of air. All I have is facts and physical evidence to back up what happened that day. You guys take care, and you have a great day.